Finding You, Mental Wellness Explored, written by Shannon J Curtis, narrated by Vicky Jo Eva. Introduction. Living below what you are capable of achieving is more expected than you think. Even in the various fields of professionalism, sometimes just one area of basic living tilts just too far. None of us are exempt from this mental battle to keep our heads above water. Gaining this awareness is one thing, but having the means to tackle the downtimes is another. What have you got in your hand? We will be looking at what is already yours to offer, gifts that have come to you without purchase, study or undue thought, such as singing, hosting, running and listening to others. Work on perfecting your skills and, for example, riding a bike or driving a car. Consider some of the things you could do on a daily basis to contribute to the development of your skills. In the case of riding or driving, you could start by just being more observant of the traffic signs. What do you love doing, seeing, hearing, smelling? Identify what enhances your life positively, whether directly or indirectly. For we know that whatever we do will affect our environment in some way, even when we don't see or realize it. We will talk about acknowledging both your physical and your spiritual self to optimize your daily routine. In June 2018, I remember what had happened when it happened, why it happened, and how it continues to happen. The journey of purposeful change. It was when I attended a Master Wealth Business Network, hosted by Estella, a close friend. The event was just the stepping stone I needed to transform my average life into a superb one. Who knew what new lease of life was awaiting me? I have stepped up my advancement within a small space of time. But don't be fooled by the statement, short space of time. It did not simply happen overnight. This growing development has been the result of daily actions of specific activities. In this pursuit, I have been and still am enjoying every moment of it. I embrace the hardships and disappointments that come and seek out their disguised opportunities. It all starts with an understanding of who you are and where you are now, then deciding what you need to do to become the complete embodiment of yourself. I can only encourage others to aspire to be and do to become. It is the doing that makes you the person you love and are. Love yourself and seek out all the best qualities of all the good things you can find to give to you. Moreover, don't forget to seek daily inspiration from the ultimate infinite one. What are your talents and gifts? Upon reflection, you will know. Start working on improving or mastering them so you can inspire yourself and serve and bless the world with them. You have been given them for such reasons. Apparently, each person is gifted with at least one talent or ability. Find yours. Continue to read this book, and you will find in its pages a part of you that was lost and forgotten. Do try to read new information to strengthen your brain muscles every day. Research has proven that new neurons form within the brain when exposed to new or unfamiliar data. This results in substantially more mental power over time. A little goes a long way, they say. It is the baby steps today that will become the giant leaps forward tomorrow. There is hope awaiting you right now. I must, however, also draw to your attention to the fact that Rome was not built in a day. Getting back to you, there is no need to look long, far, and hard to find yourself. Look inside of you. Yes, into yourself. Within you are the many answers you seek, but have long been too afraid to ask or awaken from their dormant state. There is a greater reality of you. With the right tools and actions, it won't be long before you begin to see that person, that diamond, that pearl, that precious jewel. It is not your position in life to eat the scraps tossed from the table, but rather to join in the feast. The world has been created to feed and care for all its inhabitants. There is no need to steal what is already yours to own. Open your gift of life every day by embracing the beautiful you, the wonders of life, including you and everyone around you. Cut yourself off from the chain of criticism, cursing, and limiting beliefs. You can do it if you truly want to. Many of our excuses spring from our desire to be lazy. Laziness offers very little or no reward, in contrast to the bountiful blessings gifted to those who actively pursue, applying the principles of giving for life. A giving which has a satisfying freedom that is felt only when you release it. It will come back with more if you only allow yourself to apply some of these tremendous yet simple life principles and laws that govern our existence. You'll never know what priceless, life-changing experience you will have and experience. All I can say is, when you seek, you indeed shall find. This book was written with the aim of bringing to your attention that your perception about something is your basic right. The basis for its formulation can be complex to define in words. A mental judgment is subjective on many levels. Also, this mental computation could be faulty, but almost imperceptible. We are certainly created equal in terms of status, but each of us are all unique in some small way. This personal space allows even conjoined twins to have very clearly defined differences. So there, I thought I'd let you process that thought before you immerse yourself within these words. Our brain is a fantastic mechanism, but it can be rendered faulty by holding it back from what it was made to do in the first instance. What I have brought forth in this book is from my own channel, but you have yours too. However, my idea is now a physical product. It can ignite the spark within you, possibly even more powerfully than my own. I am content to be the match if it lights the fire within you. You can never determine the impact of your action, be it good or otherwise. Now that is a beautiful thought. So the intention to provoke good is paramount. There is no need to worry about how far the impact of your destiny will take you, unless you are aiming to be dramatic. The power of one active soul is more impacting than 10,000 spectating saints. Sleeping awake. Wide awake in sleep is where ideas meet. Neurons ignite the brain, extend to divine peak. Wide awake in sleep is where energy flows, sparks of vibration begin to speak. Wide awake in sleep is where it's made, energy connection flows, merge into thoughts. Wide awake in sleep, it's here divinity conceives, thought form foundation of tangible things. Wide awake after sleep is how it's made. He begins to make thoughts actual things. Wide awake after sleep is when he sees the very same thought, a physical thing. He is wide awake. It is crucial to take breaks at regular intervals in order to recuperate. These are our daily opportunities to take time out from our activities. You can choose the time of day or night that suits you best, but I recommend early morning before daybreak, between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., when you struggle to fall back to sleep, or simply when you need to dash to the toilet. This is a time of silence that you desire and frequently feel the need for, but have no idea how to obtain it. Christians refer to it as morning devotion, quiet time, prayers, contemplation, and soul-searching. Other groups may refer to it as reflection, deep thinking, self-examination, me time, self-evaluation, thinking, thought, and so on. Some call this meditation, but for now let's just call it a breathing exercise. If anyone takes offense at this, then I can only apologize. I will include information from various parts of humankind to help you understand your journey. I want to thank you for your time and for listening to this simple book all the way through. Let me reiterate that I am not a philosopher, a doctor, a dictator, or writing to you from any religious perspective. I'd like you to think of yourself as a beautiful masterpiece, an ongoing work of art with the ability to choose where you go next. It should be noted that knowledge is information. but it is only valid when it is applied in practice. This is the beginning of your elevation. What is mental health? In general, mental health is not about having a perfect mind. It is about achieving the ideal balance to ensure a reasonably well-functioning mind. This said, a perfect mind does not exist. We all have flaws and struggles at some point in our lives. We have the freedom to make decisions to meet the challenges that we face daily. How we manage these challenges will reflect their impact. Understand that life can be viewed as a theatre, and you must be determined to give your best performance in the role you are given. Try not to take things too seriously. Laugh and play a little. It soothes your heart. Consider the following scenario involving two men of similar appearance. Both men are slim, well-toned, around 30 years old, formally attired, and pleasant individuals seated in front of you. It's almost impossible to know what's going on in their minds. Whatever enters your body through your senses affects your mind. We habitually judge a person's outward appearance to determine their personality. But this is often far from an accurate conclusion about anyone. How do you look after your brain? How do you take care of yourself emotionally? We will provide recommendations to answer these questions. Just keep on listening. People may have traumatic experiences which cause certain traits to develop. If we were aware of what they have gone through, persons of greater understanding would approach such matters with care. From the points raised in the argument between Piers Morgan and Alex Beresford regarding Meghan Markle on March 9, 2021, we can see that people have fixed ideas about mental health and who can suffer from it. Traumas can start at any stage of life. Every new case of trauma tends to amplify the impact and strength of the earlier traumatic exposures. How we can find release from these traumas is a whole different ballgame. If your circumstances have been causing a high degree of trauma, a change of environment may help and be a great start to reshaping your life. Your environment includes anything to do with smells, touch, sight, hearing, and yes, people too, various elements. Individuals who become aware of their surroundings can quickly identify some triggers. Although a change of environment may help, every situation necessitates an examination of all options. It is better to seek advice from credible sources. A second opinion is also preferable, especially when you are just beginning to understand yourself and make lifestyle changes to improve your life and those in your care. In the early stages, most patients who have been diagnosed with a mental illness are in denial. The individual may find that they are not thinking clearly, but they aren't always aware of this. There are a variety of indicators which can determine that something is not right with your mental computation. It may indicate that it is time to seek professional help to determine whether your brain is functioning as it should, or if support is required from a psychotherapist, a counselor, or other specialist to get you back on track. If you procrastinate or do not believe that mental illness can affect you, the problem may worsen and take longer to resolve, if reversible at all. To determine your level of consciousness, there must be a standard measure to reflect how you are doing mentally. Otherwise, your judgment or assessment of yourself and others would be without justification. Unless, of course, it is a clear case of observation, I would like to add that there can be many factors that can trigger unwanted behavior. In some cases, a few or even a single adjustment can result in an improvement. The trick is determining what needs to be changed. A problem can also be complicated and irreversible. As a result, the issue must go through an elimination process. I would instead focus on the pitfalls, dark spots, and make them operable or acceptable. Any other potential enhancements will come after these areas have been addressed. Listen to pages 149 to 150 for some perspectives from people with various lifestyles and backgrounds. They have shared their opinions of mental health and how they are able to keep their emotions in check. Children experience mental health issues. You may be surprised to know that many mental health challenges and disorders faced by adults starts from early development as a child and can even go as far back as the womb. Therefore, take care to love your spouse, unborn baby, and behave appropriately as much as possible to facilitate those who are at an earlier stage in their development. Children often become withdrawn when they lose trust in their parents and people within their community. If they were bullied or exposed to bullies or domestic abuse in their household, the chances are that no one has assessed the child for areas of concern. There is a need for someone to speak with them at different periods of their life. No one is born with the skills to handle life. It is learnt behavior. However, if this is not done purposefully, the young person is likely to grow without proper life management skills. While saying this, I am not talking about the manipulation of the mind, body, and spirit. It is more about being trained to apply wisdom and exercise good judgment to map your life from a personal perspective. Taking the lead in one's home can be dramatic for those who are unprepared for this. Household management is not always straightforward. The adult needs to be aware of and ensure that the basic home routine is carried out while connecting well with their household. Many people only awake one day to see the crack in the ceiling when the roof is about to collapse. A high percentage of adults have no clue about how to treat their spouses appropriately. There is an unconscious expectation that a situation will get better on its own accord, or that you should accept and work with it as it is handed to you. Individuals grow to feel they must learn to take control of the situation, even if it is not verbalized, a preconceived idea of what is expected. Be content with your decision that it will benefit all, both directly and indirectly. The truth is that there are people who will object to any form of honesty that exposes uncivil behavior. They have become used to living in an atmosphere of constant conflict and hostility, and are motivated by the feeling of having a competitive edge. The guidance of organized principles to live by would be quickly dismissed. Ethical moral principles would cause them to feel as though they have lost control and perhaps contribute to them becoming dysfunctional. I can already hear other listeners saying, that kind of living wouldn't be too systematic, too rigid to be any good. Those, in turn, who understand the benefits of joyful order will appreciate the rewards of such discipline and commitment. We are called to live in the structure of learning, practice, teaching, development and growth or expansion, mind and body. There would be no need for the word laziness in this case. Some cultures do not even use such terms of expression. When we consistently behave correctly, this becomes an automatic reaction. If we imagine and pretend to live in an ideal world, then the level and severity of the challenges to mind, body, and spirit we face today would subside. I do not claim that we could have the ideal world right now, but we could consider starting by pretending we do in order to test the response we would receive as a result. There are risks involved in taking this significant step, but imagine the massive transformation if we all did it. The reality is we are accountable for our actions, and it is not our right to force others to fit into our mold. Mental health is a daily work in progress. People go through different stages of awareness, exposure, and growth. Like a visit to the dentist, our mental wellness depends on a regular checkup of how we are doing in our current state. If these areas grow untamed and unkempt, the future could become very bleak. Like your home, your mind must be swept regularly, with additional finishing touches to make it an inviting place to live. You must pay attention. If you were not trained to keep your home well, or know how to but have no real interest, it will show. The maintenance of a clean and beautifully presented home is never about being wealthy or otherwise. Monetary value is relative and is based on your thoughts and beliefs. Your ideal of what has a higher value in comparison to another person's evaluation is subjective. Value is about more than money. What is the price you are willing to pay? For example, suppose you were given a 7-bedroom home worth £4 million. Even so, you may not be able to care for it and provide the upkeep it needs to maintain its value. If you feel incapable of looking after your 1-bedroom flat, what makes you think that a bigger place would dramatically change your attitude? A larger home will likely require more of your time, skill, and other resources. Enjoy cleaning because of the beautiful outcome you will create and enjoy. A double enjoyment opportunity you don't want to miss. We need to start to thrive where we are, ready to receive it when further growth comes. We must be ready to take a position even before the opportunity presents itself. Your mind, body, and spirit must synchronize to bring about the chemical reaction of happy endorphins for that so-called better home, job, car, career, and so on. In addition, you must perform ongoing upkeep to maintain it. This qualification is a prerequisite in life. Those who take on responsibilities without being prepared in advance with the necessary attitude, skills, knowledge, or reliable professional support will experience hardship rather than the joys it should bring. Action plan. Let us start by cleaning and making tidying small areas in your home every other day as of date, month, year. We must decide when to begin our new ambitions. No need to do it all in one day. Even small steps can make a huge impact later on. Marie Kondo, the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, recommends following this priority sequence. You should aim to gather all the items of the same category in place: your clothes, then books, the stationery, etc. The items that do not spark joy should be discarded. The key principles. Focus on one category at a time. Do the disposal all at once for each category. Ask yourself, does this spark joy within me? If no, discard. Each item in your home must be given a designated home. Leave sentimental items such as photos for last. Similar items must be kept in one place, e.g. books on a bookshelf, and put back after use. Look around and decide where and when you want to begin. You can choose your small contribution to a better environment. When was the last time you washed your curtains? What about the ledge on your window? Simply wipe it down and get rid of any cobwebs. Consider a mental wellness clinic staffed by professionals who can examine the mind, such as counselors, advisors, life coaches, and mentors. This support would be welcomed, in my opinion. At the very least, the vast majority of people are in a state of uncertainty and simply need some guidance and a push in the right direction. While most people have areas that require attention and major improvement, mental illness makes achieving your mission, desires, and dreams appear impossible. I want to point out that there is always room for improvement, no matter how well you're doing right now. And for those operating below the norm, it is best to aim to get back to the basics. It must be stated that life is ever-changing, and we will always need to make adjustments. There is no one thing that we can adjust to stabilize, but merely tweaks here and there. When we are self-aware and environmentally aware, the adjustments can come quickly and in appropriate measures. If no mental wellness system is in place to assess, adjust, and correct deviations from health functioning, errors will be repetitive. This will be easily carried for decades because of the belief structure, language, attitude, and other identifying marks that are hardly altered over time. For example, some cultures do not easily accept mixing with others by default. In their homes, it has been said that Western chickens are lazy and weak. A cultural comment can psychologically destroy the productivity of one generation to another, an endless cycle of reckless belief. The longer it is embedded, the more difficult it is to break this cycle. We must first think rightly of ourselves and allow that energy to beam out into the world. If what you have been taught is incorrect, and you are not exposed to any other way of living, that error is your truth. Therefore, it is not sufficient to simply judge others, but spending time with them, if they allow, to help them see a different way, can be more beneficial. Many people will not have the level of understanding required to distinguish between the two. It takes years for this to mature. If we do not have the right mindset for fairness and adverse results, the capacity to lead and teach may not be appropriate. In an environment where young people lack direction and meaning in life, low morals and limiting beliefs can delay zeal and stifle growth. Not very often does an individual in their 20s become a director of a large successful firm in Britain. We don't seem to give much allowance and care for such development. We would rather someone struggles 20 or 30 years to achieve the status of such a position. But the capability is there for anyone who is prepared to commit to doing the preparation required and has the right mindset to see it through, no matter their age. It is down to reading, understanding and practicing the material, then applying it appropriately. We are all vessels. With expert support and training, some of us grow into our positions in life faster than others. But with earlier understanding, we can increase the speed of growth, production, deduction, success, and engender a more long-term, healthier lifestyle. This will also mean greater well-being for others. When you understand that what you do affects the environment, you will know that we are never our independent masters. We contribute to our neighbors. Every living being in your household is your neighbor. There is no need to look far. We are all connected to one source. When you cut your body, even when very small, the body adjusts for this tiny micro change. Similarly, you and I are a part of a great body called mankind. Your child, husband, or wife would be classed as your closest neighbor. How can we change misleading perceptions? Begin to be culturally aware. Become aware of yourself. Become aware of your environment. Begin to ask relative questions. Become more acquainted with your world. Get an expert to educate you. Join community groups. What is normal for me may not be the same for you. This will always be the case, as our exposures to stimuli will always be unique, and the basis of how our thoughts are formulated will never be the same. These beliefs and perceptions are formed subjectively. A child could witness their mum being beaten by their dad. The child becomes an adult, and his subconscious mind thinks this is acceptable behavior and finds it difficult to change such a mindset, even if it means losing his wife and children, his family, who he loves. What has caused this long-term blindness that is so stubborn and willing to burn all bridges to lose everything? With absolutely nothing to gain, this fellow is determined to keep that disruptive temperament because he has no will to set aside this destructive behavior. Oh well, we have been taught not to do anything about it. We'll just get on with life. Most have resorted to communicating with a tone of aggression. They have waited and waited and waited far too long for the right time to express how they feel. By then, the feelings have become a sickness that has spiraled out of control. We are to communicate as we go along so that they do not induce more emotional pressure than is needed for a situational problem. Furthermore, the root of the problem would be long forgotten if you procrastinate or wait more than a day. It will pile on like a sore that never heals. Today's troubles should not be those of tomorrow, as tomorrow comes with its own tasks. Try thinking more about the solution to a problem than the problem itself. We make most challenges to a problem when it requires you to activate your mind. Most issues can be simplified with a straightforward and tactical approach. We give ourselves more work by seeing things as greater than is necessary. How about taking a deep breath to think things over? Step back from the situation a bit and then assess it from a more objective standpoint. Let us carefully consider the facts before jumping to conclusions. Avoid using fragmented thoughts to form stories. Take it at face value, take action where possible, and avoid taking anything too personally. You may never know who has a clouded judgment because of their past life experiences. As we have learnt earlier, mental illness is often imperceptible. Learn to exercise self-control. Believe that all will be well while you do your part. Whatever is outside human control, let it be. You will be surprised at how it all pans out in the end. Talk about things with a kind heart. If you are upset, say your piece and be done. Settle your heart and emotional defense quickly. If you cannot resolve things yourself, find a professional or an expert to listen to and confide in. It is always better to release your emotions and tensions quickly so that you can get back to what matters. The emotional build-up is a great distraction. It robs us of happiness and contentment. Emotional turmoil can take every bit of energy from your body and drain your mind of all good and right thinking, making you feel weak and lifeless. Be aware of such intentions. Be forewarned. If you give a concern more attention than needed, you will allow your resources to be consumed by it. Such emotional contempt quickly becomes an automatic trait. One can easily pass down such characteristics to children. They too will carry this monstrous tension of unwanted behavior. You will entrench this in their subconscious mind. Note that it is more beneficial to be open. Expression of feelings is essential for release and healing. But some ways will help you and those around you, while others may be destructive. We must always consider respect and the virtue of self and others, if your mind is able to consider these things. Trust someone to take an impartial look at you. Ultimately, we cannot see ourselves as we truly are, but require a mirror to aid us. Another person can be this reflective mirror. The view of a mountain from an aeroplane has certainly no comparison to the picture from ground level when looking at the same mountain. We tend not to see our errors and pitfalls that may be so obvious to others. Or how about taking that same view and seeing ourselves in the mirror, but taking a long, honest, intense look? Be sure to see your cracks, spots, and imperfections, but all the ideals too. We hold a whirlpool of assumptions in our heads. As you get older, this will increase both its capacity and the capacity to damage the holder and defendants. It is best to state your intentions and ask others for their side of the story, then just fill in the blank. Double check by asking again for clarity if you feel unsure, or to give the other person assurance that you are operating with their best interests at heart. Help them to feel a part of what you are about to do. By default, individuals and groups tend to be selective in who they communicate with or form long-term bonds, and rightfully so. That is fine and has its place. There are trade secrets, values, beliefs, and a host of vital forms of knowledge held sacred amongst the wise. Who decides on who gets quality training? Is it the rich that determine this, or do we assume this yet again? Let's face it, the vast majority of us stick to the familiar or comfortable. That is one of the root causes of lost generations. Pride in Britain has created many singletons, never married, divorces, parents against children, children against parents, siblings against each other, and so on. Too much pride. Life is certainly not a smooth sail, but we can make it a little better for ourselves by being more accommodating and leaving some preconceived ideas and ideals out of our thoughts. Life with other people is a constant battlefield that need not be. We must set aside the fears, baggage we've been passed down to handle with care by even ancestors for countless decades. You and I must decide on the life we want as individuals. Be the trendsetter, the leader, the optimizer. No one wants to experience rejection or a challenge in understanding one another, especially when millions of people fit your and my ideal. If you're going to be radical, stand out from the rest. Embrace nature and set a trend for endorsing the right way of living. Then you can come out of your comfort zone to allow growth to happen. It is possible to find the big why for communication across the borders that we set ourselves. For really, there is no border because we are of the same source and the same substance. Each decides on the caliber of person to be. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Our subconscious mind dictates our response, the way we behave, our attitudes. In Britain, we have an ongoing culture of depending on the government. There is also a blame culture. People tend to want to find someone or something to blame for failure. A person may make a statement like, "If I lose my job, I will just go on benefits." So, the will to be self-determined is lacking. The vast majority of people tend to give up without any desire to make a fuss, resist, or put up a strong fight for survival. It is the easy come, easy go attitude that accounts for a large amount of failure. Also, if we are not taught to be determined and exert deep emotions towards the things we want, it is possible that they will not come to the surface as an adult. The determination to push until something happens is not a learnt behaviour, but a rather strange idea. So, awareness of knowing there is a pillow to rest one's head, regardless of whether one puts in the effort, creates a culture that finds comfort in depending on the government for the fulfilment of all our basic needs. The government of Britain has done well for its people, but it is the people who are at fault. We are the ones who need to check ourselves to see how we are doing and spend time to develop cohesion and creativity in our thought processes. There is no limit to our productivity if we know so and act upon it. Because most of us know that there is a pool of willing assistants in the UK, the average citizen's mind is very relaxed when it comes to achievement. The average person will not have their fight or flight body management system kick in. They will relax in their state until it becomes unbearable. It is like lobsters in a pan of heated water placed on the hob. They will not realize the danger until it is too late to do anything about the matter. The application of correct information is stopping a lot of people from success. They will receive the information but don't know how to apply the knowledge, or they don't want to commit to change. It is like a mental rejection of the information. We become stuck in a mental framework that becomes our personality. It is like a smoker who objects to being shown how to break the addiction and often refuses to help himself. The logic hardly matters. The subconscious mind is in control. The body reacts to the demand and will justify the choice. Influence for the greater good. Some people are hell-bent on change for personal reasons, for the self and for selfish motives. It is not enough to want change so your life can improve, or for your race or culture as an outcome. The world exists for all of us to enjoy. It's never intended for some to feel they have more rights or ownership of it than others. Despite how harmful they may be, much of the thoughts and behaviors we hold so dear are so ingrained that life would be unfamiliar without them. A person can be very accustomed to being sick and the so-called benefits of being sick that, if given a choice, would choose to be ill time and time again. Often the reason is unknown, and the individual is acting without any real understanding of this behavior. It is fair to say that it is time we understand that the world exists for us to function in partnership. You do your part and I do mine, and then we see the fantastic returns. I think I'm starting to sound like a politician. So, let us get back to mental health talk. As we were considering, mental health has been in existence as far back as the origins of the good book. So, the hope of it being eradicated all of a sudden is almost futile. Hopeless. Mental illness is complicated to define, as we are all functioning below our full potential. The flaws vary from person to person. We can conclude that when the I is constantly failing to analyze being challenged by traumatic error data, an assistant is required to get the mind, body, and spirit to function as it should. Forgiveness and release. Did you know that when you forgive someone for the hurt they caused you, there is a release of gifts that are returned to you more than tenfold? This is a result of activating the principle of giving. It is a natural science. Test this very act and see what happens. You will have some fantastic returns that may not instantly be apparent. It would be best if you looked for the changes to see for yourself. It would help if you lived a life of expectation. Although we should not give to receive, it does not take away from the fact that this is in place to activate automatically. You will receive, but it can come in various forms. This does not mean you allow yourself to be the doormat of others. When you know your value or self-worth and take time to reflect, you will see the kind of action you need to take. Each scenario will be different, and the response required for each individual will always be different. The aim is the same, but there are no one-size-fits-all situations. You must use individual judgment and weigh each case on its own merits. The rewards of forgiveness and release. Did you know that your health will also dramatically increase when you forgive yourself and others? Your happiness and well-being will improve. It is simply a decision of freedom and release from bondage. In the physical, we can see what happens to an individual when the body is in chains. The physical life we see and experience mirrors much of a spiritual nature and can be used to understand many spiritual matters. We will learn much when we slow down our physical movement and focus more intensively on the spiritual aspect of self. Be in touch with your spiritual side. You will gain more strength to face others and complete your daily activities. You will experience more confidence, courage, and peace of mind. None of these cannot be measured because they have no mass, but are of spiritual benefit. But you will be able to feel the difference it makes to your overall outlook on life. Appreciation for life will compel you to release others from the bondage you may hold over them. In this instance, the forgiver loses out on his or her life due to withholding the precious gift of forgiveness. It takes a special person to let go. It is the desire to love unconditionally, especially the unlovable, the undeserving, or the enemy. A few benefits of forgiveness and release. It helps us internally and externally, psychological and emotionally, while ensuring reduced anger, improved resilience, improved sleep, improved immune system, decreased chance of lifestyle-related diseases. People will sometimes give up on you. They have their reasons, and it is their freedom to do so. Allow them to choose their own path. Rather, it is your priority to never give up on yourself. The one who formed you has never given up on you. The past cannot be your future. Yesterday can never be today. Gratitude attitude. Gratitude will help you to forgive yourself and others for some of the worst traumas you experience. You will need to find a channel to reduce the effects and inhibitions on your life. The breakthrough will heal some sicknesses, tears, heartaches, and destructive behavior born from such experiences. The problem with these traumas is they are recorded in a part of the brain that does not analyze. This is why man tends to act like an animal when exposed to similar scenarios that trigger or reinforce a previous trauma. Our Creator appreciates gratitude. We tend to look at the things that are not so good and forget everything that is going right. For most individuals, 80% to 95% of the time is good. Yet the 5% to 20% that is viewed as terrible seems to overshadow the significant percentage that is fine. But if we have faith, we know that things will work out eventually. Although we express gratitude differently, we can learn to improve the quality and readiness of such acknowledgement. When we express gratitude, the neurons in our brain expand, and we will receive a boost of energy and many other benefits. Appreciation helps you to show gratitude to and for others. Activity for you. Try to show appreciation for the little things you have within your reach. Start by listing as many as you like. When you awake in the morning, feel pleased for the sleep you have had. Even if it was awful, pretend it was lovely, and that you have awakened to see another day. And remember, every day is new. Take that first breath and feel it flow within you. After some weeks of pretending to be joyful, to see your precious gift of a new day, you will start to feel it for real. Personally, you may be in the same place with the same people and carrying out the same task, yet there is so much newness that contributes to the day. You are just unaware of it. It is awesomely breathtaking. Emotions and personality types. The number of emotions that exist in humans is still inconclusive. However, it has been established that there are basic emotions, although variations were found in this category that expand outwards. Understanding how our emotions work can support better response to others and curve our attitudes in even overwhelming situations. Did you know that the attitude you have can be measured and managed? And what if you could see where your attitude sits on a grid at any given moment? Then perhaps you can easily gain the upper hand to better handle and tame it to your liking. Your current emotional tone can be lowered or heightened when you understand it. According to L.R. Hubbard, tone scale plots emotions in an exact ascending or descending sequence. Your emotions can shift at any given time. Internal or external influences can trigger these changes. While most people activate their response from the environmental stimuli around them, we can safely say that our emotions are very subjective and cannot be based on any one or two influences at any given time. An experience is largely based on your thoughts about it. Your thoughts are gathered from the data stored within your brain. As we have already noted, our data consists of errors, so the stored information will have flaws. So we will need to do a great deal of work to obtain a better functioning mind and a more responsive body. Personality types. For simplicity, we will adopt the 4 personality type structure. To focus on mental wellness, we will look at what is important to each group of individuals and focus on their strengths. This will help you to communicate with more awareness and greater effect. Understanding the 4 personality types. Type A, leader, goal-oriented, risk-taking, good under stress, result-oriented, firm, forceful, strong-willed. Type B, the socializer, relationship-oriented, outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, lively. Type C, the thinker, detail-oriented, logical, prepared, analytical, reserved, systematically, precise. Type D, the supporter, task-oriented, stabilizing, cautious, even-tempered, accommodating, patient, tactful. The leader, technical. This kind of person is active but knows how to prioritize value. It needs to make sense. They believe in education, so reading would be essential to this individual. Loyalty is important to them, and they are more likely to appreciate marriage, for example. They are capable of standing alone with little or no support, which makes them determined to achieve success, the kind that we would call a go-getter. He or she is goal-oriented, results-orientated, and very competitive. They cope very well under stress. They are risk takers and very strong-willed individuals. The socializer, relational. Relationships are important to this person. They are outgoing and love family life. They tend to be animal lovers. You will probably be offered a cup of tea upon visiting their homes. Acceptance means a lot to them. Tend to love social events. They can be viewed as extroverts. They have a natural tendency to be enthusiastic. They are more productive when they feel at home or have a sense of connection. The thinker. This kind of person thrives on details. They are logical in their thinking and can be very dynamic. They like things in order and like to be prepared. Thinkers are creative and are fine on their own. The supporter. This kind of person is task-oriented. They like being a part of a team. They are reliable and can be dependable and act as a stabilizer. They are people pleasers who can be very cautious and diplomatic. Supporters can be said to have the ability to exercise a good level of patience. Some personality traits do overlap, and that is normal. You will find certain traits are more dominant than others. Combine 2 or more personality types when they are equal. Be aware that you may find that you have qualities from other personality types, although you identify a trait that is dominant. Talent and skill. What have you got in your hand? You may have, for example, singing as a talent, but have no idea how to use it. Help yourself to scale up when you are low on energy and mood. Use the excitement of activating your gift to power your day. Use your mind to be creative in your own way. By this, I mean that you may have a melodious voice, but you can choose to use it to form a choir or raise the heartbeats of individuals in hospitals. That's just my brainstorming. I hope you get the picture of what I am trying to say. There is no need to stick to tradition or be held back by convention. Conduct some research on singing or the talent or skill you have found in you. You will include notes of the benefits of participating in your gift. Music, writing, documentary, public speaking, presenting, teaching, acting in plays or musicals. Some of the benefits are listed here. Feel uplifted, feel motivated and motivate others. Feel energized, become more inspirational, expose your leadership qualities, expand your mind, more productivity, more expressiveness, lifelong delight. Personal exercise. You can write a list of your talents and skills now. What do you like doing? Collect everything that links to them. Your joy, spark, and possibly your daily bread, a means to earn and learn. I love art and like to apply it in unprecedented ways. It is unbelievably rewarding to apply your skills and talent. It is good to build from traditional processes and create your ideal. Make your list now.